A lot of people have been wondering, why is there so many white Teslas on the road? Is there a certain reason why it seems most people buy a white Tesla instead of the other colors, which are obviously blue, red, and black? Well, it depends on your market, but that's pretty normal. Now, there is a very good reason. In fact, there's a few different reasons why the majority of people are buying white ones, and here is what they are. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. Great to see you. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. If you buy a Tesla or a white one, in the US, they used to be the cheapest option. That's recently changed. It's now the midnight silver metallic that is the cheapest option to buy in the United States. So if you want the base model Model Y in its cheapest version, which costs $47,000 before the tax incentives or any other incentives, then the option that you're pretty much going to choose right now is the midnight silver metallic. I like that color. That's my favorite color personally. Actually, I like the blue as well. Probably would go with that one though if I was in the US. However, before that happened, and in Australia and many other places such as New Zealand, Thailand, Israel, etc., many places, the most popular version by far, in fact, more than 60% of Teslas bought are white. So there's some really good reasons for this. Someone asked a question of this on Facebook. They said, why is everyone buying white Tesla Model Ys? What's the reason? Is there some kind of reason? And well, yes, there is. Number one, it's the cheapest option. You don't pay any extra money for it, right? That's probably the biggest reason. There are some other compelling reasons, but the biggest reason that I've found is it doesn't cost any more to get the white version. Now, another reason is if you get white, your insurance is cheaper. That's a true story. I actually looked this up. I typed in insurance costs for a Tesla Model Y and a Model 3. And here in Australia and in most other places, the option to get the non-white version is around about $1,500. But if you want red, it's around $2,000. In the US, it's about $1,000 more money. If you want red, it's $2,000 more. It's one of the reasons why people are getting the white option. It's actually in some ways perceived to be better because it's called a pearlescent multi-coat. And whilst it does look white, if you look at it closer up, it has like a multi-dimensional look to it. It's quite a nice white color. It's not just your standard Toyota Camry white. It's just like a white fridge. It's a bit different than that. All right, another reason that people mentioned, white has less heat. So if you're in a hot location, like a really hot location, say Northern Queensland, Southern California, many hot, really hot places around the world, then it is absolutely true that your car will stay cooler if it's got a white paint job. I mean, look at all the houses in the hottest cities around the world. They're always white. They're white or some kind of light, very light color. That's the key reason for painting them that color. And obviously with a car, if you can keep it cooler inside and not pay anything to do so, then it makes sense because now you don't need as much energy from the battery to run your air conditioning. And you know, when you get back to your car on a hot day, it would be just that little bit cooler, possibly a couple of degrees. A lot of fleet buyers, a lot of business buyers, they will simply buy the cheapest option and they generally will want white. That's very normal for fleets, for businesses. When they buy lots of cars for their employees or for their business, they'll go with the cheapest option and they don't even care what that is. In Tesla's case, it just so happens to be white in most countries. Now, here's another reason you might not have thought of. That is, Tesla vehicles qualify for tax incentives or for incentives in many countries around the world, but they've got to be under a certain price to qualify for incentives. Now, these incentives are different everywhere, but for example, here in Australia, the Tesla Model Y has verged on being slightly too expensive to qualify for incentives or just under. Now, much of the time, those incentives in different states here in Australia have demanded that the price of the EV in total is no more than around 68,000 Australian dollars to get the discount, whether that's $3,000, $4,000, $6,000, depends on your state. So what that meant is if you upgraded to a more expensive paint color, you went over the threshold, meaning you no longer qualified for the discount. That meant that the car was significantly more expensive if you wanted to get a different paint color. For example, let's say you pay the extra $1,000 or $2,000, depending on which paint color you went for, or $3,000 for red. Then what would happen is you don't qualify for the incentive, so then it's actually costing you closer to $5,000 to $8,000 simply to get a different color. All right, here's another reason people mentioned: safety. Apparently, white cars are the easiest to see, therefore they're the least likely to be in an accident. Now, I didn't even think of this, to be honest, and I don't actually know if this is true, but a lot of people think it is. White cars can simply be seen on the roads better. And it kind of makes sense, because if you think about the color of the road, a gray or black car would probably blend in with the road of the color better when it's dusk, when it's morning. You see my point. So maybe white cars are safer as well. Now, here's one comment that was one of the most liked comments when said what the reasons were for going white. We wanted a car that didn't have a black roof. The sales rep tried to tell us at Nissan there was no difference in heat. They were considering getting a Nissan Leaf. I put my hand on the car on a white car versus black, and that told me very differently. We live up in the sun, a very hot area, and I could tell that it was a much hotter car, the black car. So there is clearly some evidence, maybe it's anecdotal, I'm not sure, but if you put your hand on the top of a car on a hot day and it's a black one or the white one, you can definitely feel more heat coming from the black car. All right, here's another reason white is easier to keep clean. You can't see dirt on a white car as well as you can on a black car, for example. A lot of people think that's not true, but it actually is. For some reason, on black cars, dirt just really, really stands out. White ones, you would think normally you could see the dirt better, but you can't. For some strange reason, it is, less likely to look dirty, even if there is a bit of dirt on the car. All right, here's another reason: inventory. Often Tesla only has white in stock because it makes the most white cars, by far the most white cars. It means in many countries, many states, if you want to go on order and you don't want to wait, then you basically have to get white much of the time. So that's one reason why some people ended up with white. They didn't want to wait for longer than, say, a month or two, or even up to 6 months for a different color. All right, some people said this: I was going to get a different color, but then I looked at the cars in person and I preferred how the white one looked actually in person. And then there was one final reason around that people seem to believe was possible: sheep or herd mentality. They said lemmings, or people following everyone else and doing what they believe is safe. Now, if you bought a white Tesla, then clearly you are a sheep or a lemming. No, I'm joking completely. I don't think that's relevant or true at all. In fact, I think it's probably the most logical, intelligent decision. I think it's got anything to do with being a sheep, but it's possible. I mean, people do often do what they feel is safer. And it seems as though the safer option is to go with white. But it's also the most logical. Personally, I've got to say, all the reasons that I've just outlined in this video show me that if I was going to buy a Tesla, I might consider changing my mind from, silver or black or blue, and actually going with white. I mean, it's quite a compelling list of reasons here. Let me know your reasons. If you have a reason for buying a white car, or if you chose a different color, what was the reason for that? Let us know in the comments. Be interesting to see what people have to say. And thank you for watching. Bye-bye.